A nuclear bomb is set to drop at your area in the next 30 minutes. What's your plan? Story 1. Water bottles out the ass. Foods, things to keep myself comfortable. Take local roads northbound. Shove laptop and shit in car and go. I have roughly 5 minutes of leeway given that I'm roughly 25 miles north of a major city that I'd be safe enough just staying where I'm at. It's also on a slightly elevated hilly area that the peak of the hill obscures the south where the bomb would strike, massively reducing shockwave issues and immediate irradiation, but I wouldn't take any chances staying. I'd be driving upstate well ahead of people and then diverge westbound as the jet stream should push stuff eastward to avoid the long-term effects of radiation. I don't have a go bag, but I do know where enough of my shit is to get out fast. I've thought about the logistics of this a fair bit. I'm confident I'd be okay in the short to mid-term, but long-term is another story. Story 2. Grab a random stranger. Consent, then fuck. Reach orgasm upon detonation. Orgasmic feelings overwrites destructive blast. Weird shadow found years later giving off extremely strong sexual vibes. Becomes a shrine. We then both possess bodies at our leisure. Story 3. Well, my parents are on a trip and I'm house-sitting and taking care of the dog. It's just me and her here and I can't drive. If I was the only one who knew about this happening, then I'm sure the neighbors would think I was crazy if I went to them to try and escape. So I guess I'd text everyone I cared about that I just wanted to say I love them. I'd call my partner and have him tell me about the project car he's working on, and play with the dog. Just try to enjoy those last 30 minutes. Nothing too dramatic or special, just wrap everything up. Story 4. If in a city, grab a backpack. Load with important documents, flashlight, whatever I can grab if I didn't already have a bob. Grab the dog and run into my street with a crow at. Pry open the manhole cover and rip into the storm drains. Figure that's my best bet to survive. Traffic will kill me otherwise, but at least a storm drain that I follow down will give me a few good feet of dirt and concrete. Story 5. Honestly, I would just sit tight with my partner and dog. I'd K8L our dog a few minutes before, though, just to make sure she doesn't survive by accident and have to suffer through a terrible radiation death. My #1 priority is that she never has to suffer. Story 6. Gee, I'm in Ukraine, where sometimes it is a very real threat. What I'm prepared to do is to block all incoming air ducts, close the windows, start getting extra water into available containers, and sit tight for a couple of days thanks to prepped food stash. If I am not wiped out, probably not, it must be safe to leave after 3 days, right? Story 7. Put my dog in a backpack, get on my motorcycle, and GTFO. I assume that driving my car, while able to actually carry my stuff by volume and my dog safely, would be more preferable. The roads will be so jammed up you can't get anywhere. My bike can move through around traffic jams much easier, and I may have a chance at making it 20 miles out at least and have a decent chance at survival. Story 8. Interestingly enough, I've been in that exact situation. Like thousands of other people leaving in Hawaii, I was just sheltering in the bathroom. Pretty boring. Apparently the smart thing to do was going into the sewer through a manhole. I remembered later that my condo has a storage area in concrete with heavy metal doors. That's where I'll shelter next time. Story 9. Rusk, Texas. E-bike with a tow cart carrying a portable, folding solar array capable of recharging the bike in a day's sun. Water filters. 2 gallons of water. A Faraday bag for the panels and bike. 1 large bag of rice and 1 large bag of beans. Ride for 10 minutes to a nearby drainage pipe that's about 15 underground at the entrance. Hold out there for a while. Then ride north to fresher, less contaminated water. Story 10. How close? Direct hit? I'd FaceTime my friends and family, drink a lot of booze quickly, hug my wife and dog, put on my darkest sunglasses and stand outside for the show. Close but not direct? Grabbing the go bags and the weapons and hopping in the 4x4 truck with my bikes in the back to head away from the epicenter. Story 11. Iodine tablets. Consider blast radius, hunker down the basement and wait to bail out and regroup with neighbors. We've already had hypothetical conversations over beers and cookouts, so it's a penciled-in plan. Or have a neighborhood party. Bring what you got. Story 12. A few years ago here on Oahu, we got an alert on our phones that a ballistic missile was inbound and to seek shelter immediately. I had a quick 2-minute call with Pops and then cracked open a bottle of Johnny Walker and headed down to the beach. Walking past families shoving kids down into the sewers, other just chatting it up with neighbors. We got the all clear about 45 minutes later. Story 13. I have heard that a whole group of people plan on meeting at Parliament Hill for an orgy, should nukes head this way. I plan to go there. Back when Russia attacked Ukraine again, I guess I would do that. Or closer to the truth, I'd cry over the short lives of my pup and my 2 young rescue cats and go cuddle them until we are immortalized in shadow. Story 14. Since where I live, it would likely come from the west, so I would jump in the car with my dog and all the dog food, bottled water, and toilet paper I have, not much, and haul ass east. But the problem is everyone else would probably do the same thing, and we'd all be stuck on the freeway and die anyway, or be so fucked up we'd wish we were dead. Story 15. I'm on the east side of an outer suburb of a big city, immediately toss my wife and kids in the car, haul ass to the east, and there are multiple rural roads going in that direction. Unless that road jams up and there's no way to just drive on the fields next to the road, I figure we could get out of the danger zone in time. Since we are on the east edge, if we waste 0 time in getting on the road, I think we'd get out before anything jams up. Story 16. My uncle actually went through training in civil defense in case of a nuclear war breakout and relayed some information to the family. Here's what I would do. If I'm the only person who knows about this, since in a scenario like that everyone would be notified in around 5-10 minutes before the bomb reaches us, I would go to the store, buy a lot of water and food. If everyone knows, then I will try to loot a store instead, but if they still function as intended, buy from them, why not? Then I'll head back to my apartment, no basement, lock myself in the bathroom with all the stuff I need/want, some books, food, maybe my laptop, things like that, and fill the bath with hot water. Along with all the stuff, I will bring all the clothes, block off the air gaps in the door. In my case, it seals shut good, so not much work would be needed, probably just some duct tape, and wait. 30 minutes will be more than enough for all of that. If I'm notified about the blast coming in 5-10 minutes, I will just grab whatever I can and seal myself in the bathroom, praying that I have enough water to survive. If my building still stands after the blast, most danger already passed. I will need to stay in the bathroom for a month before it's safe to go out again. Walking around is not dangerous. Touching radioactive ashes, though. That's why it's advised to wear clothing that covers all parts of your body along with a face mask. Then I will gear up and head to the village that's 40 km away from my town, where my family has a house, and will work from there. The popular opinion is that everyone will just die if something like that were to happen. That's not true. You will probably die if caught off guard or if you're at ground zero. Otherwise, if your building stays intact, you have pretty much nothing to worry about, except the consequences. You know, the fun ones like nuclear winter, the collapse of society as we know it, etc. But I'm personally not keen on just, going out and dying. Story 17. I would grab some non-perishable food and water in a backpack, a crowbar, drive for 20 miles away from expected impact point, and use the last 10 minutes to open a manhole cover to get into the sewers and live there for the foreseeable future with the rats and roaches. Story 18. I have no family. I grab my dog, have warm clothes. This will all take 2 mins, get on the highway ramp. That will take 5 mins, and get on the highway driving south as far away as I can from that area, with 23 minutes left, and go as fast as I can on the highway before everyone else with families/slower reaction time also get on the highway. I'm assuming that would be on the 12-15 minute mark. I go 80-100 mph on the highway. Really depends on the size of the bomb. If it was a Hiroshima-size bomb, I should be able to make it out alive. If it was Tsar Bomba, I should have just made calls telling everyone I loved them and accept my fate. Story 19. I would put on my shoes, get on my bike, and start cycling like my life depended on it. In 30 minutes, I can get 18 km, but because there is not a straight line, let's assume I would make it like 12 km from the impact point. Assuming that the bomb is smaller than 1 MAT, 1-2 MAT is the largest bomb in the U.S. arsenal, I would probably get away without being severely burned. After the bomb hit, I would get behind cover, and after it's over, I would immediately look for someone willing to shelter me in their house so that I could avoid the radiation for the next few days and weeks. Story 20. Probably the same thing I did last time my heart stopped. I code blued in hospital. Was conscious long enough to realize what was happening, and instead of listening to the hospital staff to breathe or look at me, stay awake, I just turned my head out the window and looked at the beautiful blue sky for what I thought was my last time. It was a beautiful autumn day, and then my heart stopped and I went to sleep until they got adrenaline and oxygen and brought me back. I always liked looking at sunsets. Story 21. I live close enough to the likely blast center, I'm assuming an airburst over Parliament in Canada. With 30 minutes advance warning, I'd run a nice hot bath with lots of bubbles, mix a nice rum-based drink. I haven't had a drink since June 2019 because it would make the antidepressants I take for anxiety stop working, which seems kinda pointless. put in my headphones, and cue up one of the playlists on Spotify my wife made. She died in 2022, and just enjoy myself. We all die eventually. If I had the advantage of foresight, I'd just do something I enjoyed with my time left. I wouldn't call my dad or anyone and say goodbye. That shit's implied, and my end should be about me. Hopefully, I'd be wrong about there not being an afterlife, because I'd really like to hang out with my wife and all of the pets I've had over my life. That'd be swell. Story 22. If it's the area I was in, I would travel to the areas that have the most number of people who have bullied me, taken me, punked and jacked me, gaslighted me, denied me quality of life, publicly humiliated me, abused me, used me as a form of anger management, denied me a proper education at the age I should have received that education, killed my pets, hurt my mother and father, used me for trafficking, and groomed other little kids to experience the same things I went through in a less painful way. Just so they can say they are takers, they will take what they want. They played God, they shouldn't have anything to worry about because they acted as God. Story 23. If you've got 30 minutes, a vehicle, an unblocked road, you've got plenty of time to get to safety, at least from the initial blast. A 10-minute blast wave is only a couple of miles across. At 70 miles per hour, that's 35 miles in half an hour. Radiation exposure is related to time and distance. If you are 30 miles away from the blast, you should be in pretty good shape from a radiation exposure standpoint. Fallout and all the after effects, that's a different story. Cherry 24. I'd grab my Geiger counter and iodine pills. Probably take the pills on the way out the door. Probably grab a handful of clothes and food, water. I could realistically get 30, 40 miles away without much fuss, assuming I'm the only one trying to leave. Everyone trying to leave? I have a 4WD truck. Could curb hop and avoid some traffic jams. I'm only a couple miles away from open rural areas, so I have a good chance of getting out of the immediate area and upwind. When it's about to hit, I would park the truck on the trailing side of a hill or concrete overpass. Wait for the shockwave with all the windows down, mouth open, ears plugged. Probably stare at it a few seconds after. Turn the Geiger counter on, windows up, recirc on. Then keep driving until I get somewhere where I can get a hotel, I suppose. Story 25. Given the context, politics, and current state of affairs in the world, and assuming it will go ass over tea kettle faster than hell arrives in a handbasket for humanity, I'm probably just going to sit it out. A nuke going off in Canada means that something went seriously wrong and the whole world's going to pay for it. This is if I ignore the American air defense systems or Aegis that works in and around the Pacific. It's not a far-fetch to assume where I live would be safe, relatively speaking, from an activated detonation. If by all odds it actually manages to land where I live, where there is air defense and such, yeah, I'm probably not going to make it through the incoming annihilation. I would rather bite the bullet early in life right now than tough it out, because anyone of actual significant importance to me is across the mainland and down into the USA. Save for my cat, of course. Story 26. I'd take 2 shots and an edible, then I de-cuddle with my cat until I die. I'd email my loved ones and let them know I love them, and I'd send a fuck you to anyone who deserves it, including the bitches that didn't pay me back. Comcast, Chick-fil-A for closing on Sundays because I'd be there now instead of the nuclear zone. Then I'd invite my ex over and hope he doesn't make it on time. If he doesn't, he'd be near enough the nuclear zone to catch enough radiation to make him suffer. Story 27. I've weirdly lived through this, so I know for sure what I'd do, lol. I'm from Hawaii, and some years back there was an emergency alert sent out to everyone's phone that we were in that exact situation. It's in the middle of the ocean, so really nowhere you can go and nothing you can do. This happened in the morning on my day off, so I replied to all the texts from my loved ones and then went back to bed because if I was going to die, I'd rather it be in my sleep. Luckily, it was just that a new hire pushed the wrong button, and so the message was on accident, but still a pretty big scare for sure. Story 28. In the place where I stay, there are plenty of wells. So since it takes 30 mins for the nuclear bomb to strike, I will drive to a well which is 25 mins away. Get an oxygen cylinder, not necessary optional, and jump into the well and duck myself underwater. The well will act as a good shield from radiation, and only it can reach from the top, which will be less. Water is a good radiation shield too, and water being a poor conductor of heat, it will be still cooler below the surface. So once the explosion happens, I will give few minutes and come out and again start driving. Also, since I already drove for 25 minutes, I could have at least covered 50 kilometers, which would be somewhat far away with reduced impact. Story 29. Spend 3 minutes arguing with my wife about which freeway is going to be quickest to get out of town. Finally, we decide to take the 57 south. We make it a few minutes before hitting the stop and go traffic for the hockey game today. That's okay. We can take the side street. We take the first exit. And traffic as road is stopped for some construction they've been doing on and off for 5 years during peak traffic times. We make it about 3 miles before being caught in the blast radius. Story 30. Well, for one, am I the only one who knows, or does everyone know? And is it rush hour? How large is the bomb's MT rating? 'Cause 30 minutes, it would probably be closer to 15 BTW. Isn't much, unless you can get to the other side of a mountain or some other natural form of protection. And then if the wind goes the wrong way, you're still fucked. I'm in the US, and the civil defense nuclear shelters were mostly long ago abandoned or closed. So realistically, there may be only one thing to do: play catch the bomb. If you're right under the detonation, you'll likely be vaporized before being able to feel anything. Edit. The number of people who think they can escape the blast radius of even a medium-sized nuclear bomb is too damn high. You're probably only getting away if it's a very low yield, or tactical nuke, which likely wouldn't be deployed against a civilian target. If your city, town has been targeted, odds are it's mutually assured destruction time. Story 31. Flask of hot water, some tea bags, a bottle of port, a cigar and a deck chair. Down to the coast and sit on the cliffs to watch the sea. World go by in comfort while I wait to expire. I'd rather sit and enjoy my last moments than spend them in a traffic jam with everyone else in their futile attempt to get away. Disclaimer. I live close enough to key British infrastructure that if the blast from the bomb doesn't kill me straight away, then secondary explosions from that infrastructure will get me for sure.